left hand, we have our red Protoss player coming down from the land of Pakistan as well as Britain. We have TeebuL representing Berserker.
And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the blue Protoss player representing Invictus Gaming. It is MacSed.
And you say that these two are haven't really had a great time here in the standings or in the group stage just yet, but they are pretty much neck and neck right now. Whoever wins tonight will have another shot of potentially making it to the playoffs tomorrow, but whoever loses is out just completely.
Yeah, exactly. The loser of the series will be eliminated from the tournament, so there's a lot on the line right now. They are fighting for their tournament lives. And who is it going to be so far? Standard openers. We have 2 gate openers all around from both players. There is no ramp coming into the natural, so it is typically unsafe to go for an economic opener like Cyan did on Oceanborn, which was crazy, by the way. I don't expect any other player to do that, but it was, again, just to wind it back a little bit, it was very impressive that Cyan was able to go for a gate expand and successfully defend it as well on the low ground.
Yeah. A lot of foresight coming out there from Cyan, but this time, it is our first game, so both players are just kind of sussing out the waters, so to speak.
Exactly.
Very, very safe double gate opening.
Exactly. And basically, we're lying in wait, waiting for the Cybercores to finish up to see what first 2 units are going to be coming out that will indicate how aggressive they want to be. And there it is. We have a double Adept Opener out of TeebuL and a Stalker Sentry out of MacSed.
Pretty much the polar opposite ends of the aggression versus defensive scale that you can get here. MacSed wants to be very, very safe with that sentry. You're going to be opting for a hallucinated scout instead of sending units out. TeebuL, on the other hand, wants to get stuff done as quickly as possible.
Oh yeah, we're doubling down as well. We don't just open up double Adept, we have 2 more behind this for 4 Adepts. We could even go up to 6 Adepts as well. And the goal here is to get across the map to get into the main base and to get economic damage done. The reason why you would get more than 2 Adepts is because once you build up that Adept count, you can actually DPS down the would-be either pylon or shield battery that gets thrown down if we do have enough Adepts.
If we do, and yeah, TeebuL's looking to get to that point. Have these 2 Adepts here to shop. He's getting 2 more! The Adepts keep coming, and they don't stop coming.
They do not. It's going to be on MacSed to figure out what's going on. He does see the first 2 Adepts, which is not a tell, not yet. This is the beginning of the aggression, but there are plenty of players that go double Adept into Stalkers and Sentries. Like, that's a very normal thing to do. The Hallucination does see 2 additional Adepts coming out, and does get eyes on the build of choice here. Twilight Council's thrown down, so we at least also get eyes on the tech as MacSed throws down a Proxy Pilot.
Yeah, looking to reciprocate a little bit. He knows that with how aggressive TeebuL is being in the early game, he shouldn't have too many defenses up here when he focuses more on transitioning to the next stage of the game. And that is exactly when MacSed wants to strike.
Oh, exactly. We'll see if he can. Again, with 6 Adepts, we can try to DPS down whatever building gets thrown down to wall off the ramp. There it is. Oh, but because we see all the Adepts, a gateway gets thrown down instead. Not a pylon or a shield battery. We have plenty of HP as a part of this wall, and TeebuL will not bust in.
He can't bust in. He can try to get some of these Stalkers, trading as best he can, but yeah, there's no way Adepts are going to trade well against Stalkers.
Yeah, and at the same time, we have 2 Adepts shading into the main base. 2 Adepts, one-shot workers, and MacSed is doing so much with so little. He didn't invest into 6, only with 2, and he gets 7 probe kills.
This is how it's done with Adepts. 8 probes go down in total. TeebuL wasn't all in, so he does still have that other nexus to work off of, but you know what? So does MacSed.
Exactly. MacSed enjoying himself a very nice economic lead. We have 2 more Adepts coming out. Looks like TeebuL has caught wind of this, and he will shut down this pylon. He will shut down these Adepts. But again, MacSed does come out of this with a lead. Both players working towards Blink. Both players saturating their naturals.
Well, TeebuL saturating his natural. MacSed still needs to cancel that gateway for now. There we go.
Yeah. As the pylon is going to be falling here, and Yeah, here across the map, MacSed just building himself back up. He's taking a more defensive position. The constant hallucination scouts as well are going to be confirming whether or not there is an all-in coming his way. He does come across the army at least, so he's aware that he has to be wary of said army.
Yeah, he knows that TeebuL's going to be aggressive here, but at the same time, TeebuL has been able to deny that scout. He won't, MacSed rather, won't really be able to get any eyes on where TeebuL is going from here.
Yeah, exactly. As once again, we do manage to wall off. Now that there are significantly less adepts, we don't need to commit to a full gateway wall or anything like that. So again, MacSed is able to keep up with everything that's happening. TeebuL to get ahead after a rough start. He'll do so by a much faster third.
Yeah. Which is something he can do. He's being very active on the map with his little force of stalkers here. Pretty much just taking the map control.
Oh yeah, he has taken that map control. He's containing his opponent here to 2 bases. MacSed, though, he is thinking of his own third base as well. He hasn't seen the third of his opponent. He doesn't know the timing or whether or not there is one, but he's going to be taking a bit of a chance here by going for that expansion. And actually, MacSed is going to have a faster +1 as well. +1 is well on the way, only just starting for TeebuL.
Yeah, but you know what? TeebuL is going to have a much faster charge. So it's going to be a very weird window of opportunity pretty soon where MacSed will be ahead in upgrades, but, won't really be able to do much of that upgrade. Whereas TeebuL can attack into MacSed, but he's going to attack into MacSed with a disadvantage.
Yeah, it's really interesting the tech paths that we're kind of taking here. TeebuL basically going for a really gateway heavy composition. You can see here the gateway explosion is upon us, so it's going to be blink stalkers and charge lots. This hallucination scout does see the gateway explosion as well, so MacSed is fully aware of what's going on, and as a response, he's going for immortals. We should be seeing a faster Templar archives to get into Archons. MacSed is just going to be relying on mainly a stalker immortal army.
Yeah, later on the line, I imagine we'll be seeing a Robo Bay as well. Maybe a couple of disruptors coming into play, but TeebuL is going to be the first player to get AoE. He's going for a good old classic army composition in Archon Chargelet.
Yeah, Charger Archon is on the way here for TeebuL. Max is still just committing to pure blink stalker, so it's going to be a really interesting dynamic. The way that this works is that Zealots do an amazing job at tanking. They take a lot of stalker hits and a lot of immortal hits as well, so they're going to be the buffer zone here for the main army of TeebuL. It's going to be very dependent on positioning and how these armies do engage, how the Zealots engage here in conjunction with the stalkers of TeebuL.
Oh, meanwhile though, MacSed not doubling down on that Robo, is going for the Templar Archives, as you said, but it's going to be a very long time before he's going to be able to get any sort of Archons of his own.
Exactly. But once he does, he can shut down a Zealot army. All it takes is like 2, maybe 3 Archons, and as long as you're in position, as long as they're able to zone away or be in between your army and these Zealots, they can just annihilate them without too much issue. So I do appreciate the quality of army here of MacSed, but he still has to bring it all together.
It's one of my guilty pleasures, just witnessing +2 Archons throwing down a couple of volleys on Zealots that don't have any armor on them. It's like popping bubble wrap,
It's you get it, like, especially as a Terran player, right? You see all these Zealots and you know how difficult it is to deal with. And you see these Archons annihilate them, you're like, yeah, get him, buddy, get him.
This is something Widow Minds could never do.
Smooch. Feels bad.
At least not my minds.
As we do have 4th bases being taken from both players, TeebuL is going to be moving out here. Of course, is another big feature of Alcyone. It's a very large map, a lot of bases to be taken. You can expand either towards the left or the right-hand side. Both players are opting to expand here on said right-hand side of the map, which is a little bit more safe and more defendable. But we'll see if MacSed can eventually push out, because we do have a Zealot run by being set up here by TeebuL.
Yeah, just waiting for MacSed to make one false move. Maybe commit a little bit too much to defense here. By the 4th base, Zealots are starting to move in, looking to be a distraction, but MacSed already scouts the main army of TeebuL. Does he have enough to stop it, though?
Oh, he goes for a Warping defensively back at home. A couple of workers are going to be going down. We have a massive amount of Zealots coming from MacSed, but there is no charge.
There is no charge for MacSed. TeebuL, however, does have charge and will be able to create a bit of a barrier, a bit of a buffer zone here to keep the rest of his units alive. MacSed, though, very decisively blinks for it, takes out one Archon, and is looking to get the other one. Oh man, if only he had charge.
This was a really interesting dynamic as TeebuL's being forced all the way back. So because MacSed didn't have charge, his Zealots survived because they didn't run into their deaths. Meanwhile, TeebuL's Zealots, they just charged right into the Archons. They all got annihilated. It was really weird to see that dynamic. It's like, in this specific scenario, not having charge actually saved a lot of army supply for MacSed. Now we keep on pushing, and charge finishes up just in time for his own attack.
Yeah, but we'll see if the tables perhaps turn. Very patient play from both of our Protoss players here. Zealots do charge on in, and just like so, you called it light, they do pop like bubble wrap.
Yeah, they do. Archons are going down as well. MacSed, has he overextended? These Immortals, though, they're doing so much in the back line to the Archons and to the Stalkers as well.
Yeah, as long as these Zealots stay alive, and I don't think these Immortals should be able to get much done, but they don't. The Zealots do fall, and these Stalkers are looking very, very vulnerable. Thankfully for TeebuL, he has been able to deal with most of MacSed's high-tech units. He took out an Immortal and got rid of the Archon count, but he is defending with only Stalkers right now.
Yeah, and with these two Immortals, MacSed does have more firepower. His army quality is just that much higher. +3 is about to kick in for MacSed as well. He does have a timing available here as he can push on forward. The Prism has arrived to reinforce, and TeebuL is on the back foot.
Very much so. He has a decent setup here. I mean, he has that shield battery, and battery over charge should come off of cooldown pretty soon. But MacSed, he decides not to fight in that position. He bypasses the army entirely and finds himself on even ground here.
Yeah, no shield battery, no overcharge at the third base. TeebuL woefully underprepared for a fight, and he's going to be losing so much ground. Stalkers are falling. That Archon is going to be falling as well to the Zealots. And MacSed, it looks like he has broken through. He has broken the army of TeebuL.
And +3 kicked in right at the start of the engagement. GG is called. MacSed will be taking game number 1.
GG, well played. And yeah, quite a back and forth there between our players. MacSed, of course, getting some momentum early on by shutting down the Adept play. But when it came down to the big fights as well, TeebuL was struggling to actually deal with the high Immortal count, the high Archon count of his opponent. And also towards the end, very unfortunate that he just was underprepared at that third base. 0 shield batteries to help defend. His defender's advantage just wasn't as strong as it usually is.
And there was a point in that game where, before TeebuL really moved out with his Archons and whatnot, that I looked at the income and I was really impressed. TeebuL, despite being behind in the early game, was actually mining a couple hundred more minerals per second compared to MacSed. He was up on workers by not an insignificant amount. I think he was up like 7 workers at one point. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, he did go for that engagement, and in one of the weirdest twists of fate I think I've ever watched in a StarCraft match, charge actually killed him. Like, him getting the upgrade sooner, TeebuL getting that upgrade sooner actually killed him.
Yeah, it was just a really weird dynamic that, like, you don't really get to see too often, right? Where you see one player without charge actually benefit himself in a fight, where they were able to survive and able to be used a little bit later on, more effectively, more efficiently. So, yeah, really well done there by Mac. I don't think that was intentional either. I don't.
Yeah.
Which is what
it 100%
also
wasn't. He was researching charge, and it was halfway done during that engagement.
Exactly, and I'm pretty sure it was forgotten, and it was ideally supposed to be done far earlier. But regardless, GG, well played. MacSed does take a lead, and now we're going to be getting ready for game number 2 on Golden Aura.
Indeed, we are. The casino map, as it's sometimes called.
Here we go. It does. Well, it has a pretty interesting layout as well. Shorter rush distance. I'm curious if we are going to be making use of that. Kind of like the previous PvP that we casted, where game 1 was a little more macro oriented, and then game 2 was just like an all in. I wonder if TeebuL is willing to just ramp it up here and whip out something different. Maybe even something like what he's known for, DTs.
Oh yeah, here's hoping. We've already seen it once this evening, and we've already seen it work out really well this evening, but looking back at that Cyan versus SCV game, I'm not sure if DTs were really that effective. But regardless, we're going to be continuing our best of 3 series now on Golden Aura, where we're here in the top. I'm frozen.
Yes, my game just crashed, so I'm gonna need yourself to observe this game. It's all good. Don't need to remake or anything. But I will need you to open up your screen sharing.
Yes.
Por favor. You loaded into game. My game just crashed.
Oof. Yes. Oh, how do I observe this?
It's all good. It's all good. Thankfully, of course, I'm not handling production, and Kuro is instead. So we will not have to slow anything down. And thankfully, we have the technology to share our screens as well. Thankfully.
There we go. To move forth.
Exactly, as we're just going to be waiting for my ghost to depart the game, and we can dive into these intros. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have the Chinese Protoss player leading the series 1-0, representing Invictus Gaming. It is MacSed.
And over here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom right, we have our red Protoss player coming down from the land of Pakistan as well as Britain. He is going to be representing Berserker Esports. We have TeebuL.
It was a couple of days ago where I put Kuro on the hot seat, and I was like, "Oh, you're observing today," and she's like, "I haven't observed in years, Papi. It's been so long." But it's gonna be fine. I believe in your skills. It'll be good. It'll be good.
What are the hotkeys? Ah, yes. Control Shift F allows you to follow a unit.
It does. It does.
That's a pro tip.
There you go. But we are getting into this, and so far, oh my god, TeebuL is turning the tables here. He's going to be the one to go for a very greedy opener on Golden Aura. Oh my god!
Low ground wall. Actually, Nexus before Cybercore with a low ground wall.
Yeah.
I'm shook of. I don't believe it. They do say that this is a map that allows for greed, but I don't think this is exactly how greedy the map makers envisioned PvP being.
Yeah, so very quickly here for some context for how PvP typically works. Gate expands are very, very rare when there isn't a ramp coming into the natural base. It is a very greedy thing to do. You don't have that high ground advantage that you otherwise would on a map like Side Delta, for example, or that you have in your main, with that ramp. And on top of that, as you mentioned, TeebuL went for a gate expand. This is the greediest opener, the most economic opener you could ever go for in a PvP. And the pressure is now on MacSed. Basically, he's throwing down his gauntlets and he's saying, "Mate, can you punish me? Are you going to punish me, or are you just going to be behind economically from the start of this game?"
My mind went somewhere right now. You said that. But yes, MacSed is absolutely looking to punish this from TeebuL. He's not even trying to hide it right now. He knows that this is what TeebuL wants, and he knows that he can get something done here.
Yeah, and TeebuL scouts. So a lot's happening. Essentially, as you mentioned, MacSed is committing to a one-base all-in. TeebuL baited it out, and he knows what's going on. He already is working through that pylon. The pylon taking a lot of hits, losing its shields, but 2 more Stalkers rock up, and it looks like MacSed does end up shooting first. He does do a little bit extra damage to that one Stalker. The dance has begun, and we cannot afford to lose this Robo. It cannot be depowered.
It really cannot. MacSed already committed to this attack by throwing down the pylon. And if it goes down, he's basically out of the game. Robo Facility will finish up. Pylon in a very precarious position.
It really is, especially with the defender's advantage. TeebuL, he's reinforcing so much faster. The first Immortal is on the way. MacSed hasn't lost anything, neither has TeebuL. And is MacSed getting ready to expand? Is he going to try and pivot away from this? I'm still not entirely certain as to how he's going to approach this, but the Stalkers, they do push forward. It looks like the Immortal is going to come out.
It should, anyway. MacSed being a little bit reckless here when it comes to his Stalkers, but will be able to keep most of them alive. Now the Immortal is out. He has a bit more firepower, but he wasn't expecting TeebuL to have the exact same composition.
Yeah, he brings out his own Immortal. Reinforcements are coming on out, but TeebuL is pushing on forward. He takes some extra hits. The Immortal, it goes down!
Great target firing coming out here from MacSed. Is able to take out the Immortal of TeebuL while keeping his own alive. Pretty soon, he's about to have 2 Immortals, and that stacks up a lot.
It really does. The Immortal barely survives from MacSed. On top of that, and if you see the production tab, that's a Bay. That's Robotics Bay on the way. We do see MacSed working towards Disruptors. A bold move here on 1 base. So it is. The first Disruptor is on the way. It's too early for Blink. So these Novas are going to do a surprising amount of damage, but this is just a really risky move here from MacSed.
It very much so is. Adept will be able to buffer a couple of shots here. Very good target firing coming out from TeebuL. Able to take out both Immortals of MacSed.
Yeah, as we saw, like, Zealots and Adepts do a great job at buffering, at tanking shots, and that was a big misstep out of MacSed to lose both of his Immortals just like that. So some miscontrol coming out from our blue Pearl Spray, but here we go, the first Disruptor has arrived. Nova goes off, but it won't connect.
It does connect. MacSed really trying to double down, trying to get a gateway in position just to really make sure that he has a foothold here, that he can continue to warp in, but it will not work out at all for him. TeebuL with that extra Immortal will be depowering that Robo. And will be killing the Robo.
Yeah, with that Robo being depowered, that is going to be the end of the all-in. TeebuL now has a solid advantage. MacSed is expanding. He has accepted his fate that he just cannot break his opponent, not anymore. MacSed is technically ahead in workers, that is true, but TeebuL, he can make 2 workers at a time. He can chrono out those probes as well. He has a solid defensive setup, and TeebuL will have a solid lead coming into this game.
Indeed, he will. TeebuL just going to try to maintain pressure on MacSed here, making sure that he doesn't try to sneak out a third base if possible. He would like to get rid of that natural as well. Couple of Adepts sneak into the main!
No!
Will complete! And yeah, that slight lead, that slight probe lead for MacSed will be completely shut down.
Yeah, it should be. Again, 2 Adepts do one-shot workers. We have the main army pushing on forward here on the front lines as well. A bit of an overextension out of TeebuL with his main army, as he's going to be forced back. Meanwhile, TeebuL also losing workers across the map.
Yeah, a couple of Adepts here from MacSed were snuck out, and all of a sudden, yeah, MacSed reciprocates the damage more than twofold.
I was going to say tenfold, mate, as 23 workers go down, so many Adepts shade in, and just like that, TeebuL was in a commanding position, but now he loses everything. 26 probes going down, every single worker going to be falling, and MacSed back at home, he's holding.
All of a sudden, we went from MacSed going all in to TeebuL going all in. It's one Disruptor, just wants to help.
It wants help. It cannot help. Probes are still going down. MacSed is still hurting. He's down to 10 workers. Meanwhile, TeebuL is down to 3. And we're getting lower and lower. But MacSed will eventually clean this up. And TeebuL has to tap out. GG. Well played. MacSed takes game 2.